Hello and welcome to this Facebook Live presentation of Hope for Holiday Grief. I am Debbra Bronstad and I'm a special kind of counselor and coach that helps people transform loss into renewed purpose and spiritual growth. If you're here today, it's likely because you've experienced the death of a loved one, a divorce, or some other kind of life-altering transition that's left you with a grieving heart. The holiday season has a way of magnifying the pain, the loss, the sadness, the loneliness. How can we celebrate a time of togetherness when someone's missing, when our life has changed and it seems like it's for the worst? And even while we may wish we could hibernate until after the new year, I've had a few seasons like that, life goes on around us. And sometimes the holidays just push us into the very painful places that we want to avoid. Today and continuing on Friday, I'd like to share with you some tips for dealing with the holidays and being proactive to plan for the holiday season rather than just letting it happen to you. There's too many ideas here for any one person to implement. So what I'm hoping that you'll do is pick and choose those that will work for you. And if you would, I'd like to invite you to leave a comment below if I share an idea that you want to implement, something that you think will work for your situation, or maybe make a comment about one of these ideas that you've already used. I'd love to know how it worked out. Maybe you've got some new ideas to add, and so I'd love to get your input. My goal today is to help you be thoughtful and proactive about your experience of the holidays. There's no right or wrong way to celebrate Thanksgiving or Christmas or New Year's, or, for example, after the loss of a loved one. The best way to cope with the holidays is to plan ahead and ask others for the support that you need. I want to encourage you to set realistic expectations for yourself. Tell yourself, I can do this. So a lot of times we have thoughts that say, I can't do this, or I'm dreading this, or this is going to be awful. And but you can get through this time. We all have expectations around the holidays, and that they're a time to spend time with loved ones. And this starts even when we're children, and we look forward to going to relatives' houses or having our grandparents come over, spending time with the cousins. If you've had your own children, then you've also probably experienced the pleasure and the joy of creating holiday memories. And so, this is a bonding time for families. This is what we're supposed to do. And when the life situation is working out so that it's not going to be like it was in the past, this can be really difficult for us and really painful. So it just happens that we miss people more, especially around times of celebration. So one of the first tips I have for you today is to feel whatever it is you feel. The feelings are normal. Grief is the normal and natural human response to loss. The feelings simply indicate that there was a connection. Common feelings include sadness, loneliness, depression, lack of energy, sometimes anxiety, fear, anger, irritability, guilt, or even apathy. The holidays can intensify those feelings. You may have even been feeling better in September and October, but once November hit, now there's kind of some turmoil inside of dreading the next couple months. But by planning ahead for yourself, and as well as communicating your needs with those around you, you can know better what to expect and be prepared for that. So a second tip I have for you is to just prepare yourself that things won't be the same. If you try to keep everything the same as in the past, you'll probably be disappointed. But adding some purposeful changes can help you and those around you acknowledge change while preserving some traditions. Some changes you might consider would be a different menu for what you might have for a holiday meal, or even a different venue. Some people like to do a different location. I know that after my mom that raised me passed away in the summer, that Christmas, my family decided to spend Christmas in Las Vegas rather than be at home, and it just being so obvious, this gap in our family. You might change some of the things that you do. You might change whose home you celebrate a meal at, or things like that. You might change roles. Who hosts, who cuts the turkey, who bakes the cookies. There can be some changes that way, that if you're purposeful about them, then it won't be that these things are just happening to you and coming upon you by surprise. No matter what changes you make, the feelings will still be there, but perhaps not as intensely as if you were in the same place at the same time. As you make changes, be careful not to isolate yourself. Grieving alone is very painful and not recommended. A third tip I have for you today is to be gentle with yourself. Make sure you get the rest you need. Just be aware that you're going to have some good days, you're going to have some bad days. If you're sending Christmas cards or maybe that's what you've always done in the past, or sending gifts holiday shopping seems just more of a burden this year, I want to encourage you to just think through that. Maybe you want to order online or through catalogs, or have someone else help you with the Christmas cards, or not do it at all. Again, the choice is yours. It's important to be realistic about your expectations and your energy levels this year, and find someone to help. That can go a long ways to helping you do the things that are important to you, but that would be very difficult to do by yourself. A fourth tip I have for you today is to express your emotions. When the feelings come, don't bottle them up and stifle them inside. Somehow move them from the inside to the outside. And here are some ideas to do that. Share what you're feeling with family or friends, and particularly if you find those people who aren't going to tell you you should be over it by now, okay? Because feelings just are. They're not right, they're not wrong, they just are. They need to be acknowledged and not pushed away. You might want to write about your feelings in a journal. You could even actually talk to yourself in the mirror and just state, because sometimes when we acknowledge and we name what we're feeling, there can be some relief. You can write a letter to your loved one about what you're experiencing without them. Whether this is a spouse or a child that you've lost that has died. If you're dealing with a divorce or an estranged family member, you can still write a letter addressed to them, but I don't encourage you to send it, okay? You might be able to read this letter to a trusted friend or to a counselor, but don't send it to them. The purpose of this is just for you to get out of your heart and just out of you to express your feelings. Another strategy that you can use that sometimes helps when we're dealing with overwhelming feelings or strong feelings is to talk soothingly to your own soul. And this would be to just identify, hey, there's a part of me that's really sad right now, or there's a part of me that's angry and frustrated. And here's how it might sound. And I encourage you to do this out loud privately so that you have an opportunity to acknowledge the emotions, and then sometimes you can move forward with that. But it might sound like this. I know I'm feeling really irritable and impatient right now because I really wish George was here. I miss him and it hurts a lot that he's not here. This irritability is actually holding me together so I don't fall apart. And so you're just talking to yourself soothingly, even for some of those really uncomfortable emotions like anger, frustration, irritability, but that they have a purpose. And a lot of times those things on the anger spectrum, their purpose is to give us energy to go forward when to feel the grief would make us feel really vulnerable and weak. And so the anger, frustration, irritability sometimes gives us a sense of strength when we're dealing with loss. Here's another way that that you can talk to yourself to soothe your own soul. It might sound like this. It's okay that I'm crying right now. I never imagined that I'd be facing Christmas alone this year. It makes sense that I'm in pain. It won't always be like this, but for right now, it's okay to cry. And then sometimes it can just be as simple enough as, it's okay to cry. It's okay to cry. It's okay to feel sad. And giving yourself just some soothing words to get you through this time. Exercise is a great way to relieve stress, especially in pent-up emotion, getting that heart racing, especially if you deal with anxiety, because when you do some vigorous exercise, if your doctor okays that, getting your heart racing for a natural cause of exercise is a really healthy thing and can help relieve depression and anxiety. You can pray or meditate. That's another way to just talk out your feelings and ask for divine help during this time of grief. Creating something using art can be a way to express yourself. And then in that, if you're an artist, you may be more aware of the product that you're creating. But the reality is that it's not about the product that you create. It's actually about just activating the right brain, which is also connected to your heart and to your emotions. And just draw whatever you feel. It doesn't matter if it's scribbles. It doesn't matter if it's all black or colorful. It just doesn't matter. Nobody even has to see it. But just getting that expression out of you can be helpful for relieving some feelings. There's also, you've probably seen the adult coloring books that have, pretty pictures that you can fill in. Sometimes they even come with markers to color. And that can be just a way to calm yourself, as well as to express, get some expression of your insides to the outsides. I encourage you to play an instrument. Again, another way to just express your emotions. Listen to music and let yourself cry if you need to. So I see we've had a couple people join us, and that's great. I'm not sure if I'll be able to identify who you are right now because I can only see one screen at a time. But welcome. I'm glad you're here. Fifth thing that you can do to be proactive around the holidays is to control what you can control. You can decide who you spend time with, how much time you spend with them. You can decide if and when to exercise. You can decide how much and what kind of foods to eat or to drink. You can decide to have an exit strategy. If you decide you want to attend a holiday party or maybe a family gathering, be sure to create a plan for how you can leave if things become too overwhelming for you. This might mean you drive your own car, or you arrange for a taxi or an Uber to pick you up when you're ready to leave. Or it could be involving a friend that would be willing to leave with you if things get overwhelming and you're too uncomfortable. But at the same time, I encourage you, don't isolate and avoid everything altogether. But by being proactive, you can take control of some things where you can participate where you want to participate, but take a break then on some things that aren't as essential for you. Make the decisions that you'll be comfortable with in the long run. My sixth tip today is finding people to help support you. This is key. Our society in general does not do a good job of helping people grieve. So many are afraid to say the wrong thing to you, as if you shed a tear, that it means you're going to break. And this can make grief a really lonely time. So here's some ideas on where you can find some support. This would be a supportive friend, an understanding friend who will listen without judgment, who will listen without putting a timeline on your grief. The least helpful is somebody saying, well, you should be over this by now, or this shouldn't still bother you. Those shoulds really get us into trouble because emotions just don't work with shoulds. So finding a person that maybe has gone through something like this before, or has a lot of empathy to let you talk with, and that they will just hear your heart. Could be a family member, could be a friend, could be a local hospice center. They often have programs and groups for dealing with grief. And I was surprised to learn they're not only for people who have used hospice services. And so they have these kind of groups that are available in the community. You might find help from a counselor. I myself work with people by phone, webcam, and in my local counseling office to support them in their grief journey, to help them evaluate the relationship with the person that died, or even that they're estranged from, to look at the positive things, to look at the negative things, to process any trauma that may have happened around those losses. Today I'm offering a free consultation with me as you develop your holiday plan. I'm going to make available time for the first 3 people who contact me on the Facebook page. There's a Book Now button at the top. It's blue. And if you click that, you'll get directed to my calendar, and we can have a 20 to 30 minute time to review your holiday plan. I actually have a worksheet that I can share with you, and review your holiday plan and talk through that, how to make it a time that will work for you. A 7th tip I have for you when you're dealing with holiday grief is to focus on the kids. Many holidays place a special attention on the children. And, a lot of that comes from as we remember our own experiences dealing with the holidays as children, and hopefully we have some good memories about that. And children just tend to be joyful and excited around the holidays. And so it's important to recognize that choices that you make about whether to participate or not in family events may affect the children in your life. And so keep that in mind. And so there may be family activities that you choose to be a part of for a time or for some very special events, but then you might opt out for some other things. So keep in mind, find out what's important to the children in your life so that you can be there, because they may not totally understand why you are withdrawing or pulling away. Number 8 today is to communicate your expectations and needs with family members. Other family members may be affected by holiday grief as well. And so talk over your plans. This is a great way to avoid misunderstandings later. Some family members may believe, we'll just do it like we've always done it because that's especially meaningful for me, especially now that, dad's gone or grandma's gone or whatever. And so some people may have some expectations that you'll just keep doing it that way because it will be a way to honor or remember somebody. However, there may be other family members that just dread that because of the grief and the pain it will bring up to have them not there. And so I encourage you to talk through with family members ahead of time some of these issues. Respect their needs and choices and offer compromise if necessary. Let everyone participate in ways that feel comfortable. And so having these conversations ahead of time can really help so that everyone's on the same page and nobody's hit by any surprises or special disappointments because of something they always expected isn't going to be happening. And my last point for today is to not be afraid to laugh. When families get together, memories are going to come up, and you might even want to invite people to share funny stories and memories of your absent loved one. Let yourself enjoy those memories. This kind of experience can turn a dreaded family gathering into a precious memory of its own. And on Friday this week, I'm going to have part 2 of this Facebook Live Hope for Holiday Grief series. And I'll talk about some more specific ideas on how to honor a loved one or how to connect with somebody who might live far away that isn't able to join you this year. These will be some great things to talk about with family members so you can be proactive rather than reactive during the holiday season. Thank you for joining me today for this presentation of Hope for Holiday Grief, Part 1. I invite you to leave me a comment below about which ideas that you'll want to use. And be sure to click the Book Now tab to schedule your free holiday plan consultation with me. I look forward to talking with you soon.